And just like that, we are already halfway through the year, which is crazy. The year completely flies by. But with that, why not give you my top 10 best movies of the year so far? Now, obviously, I have not seen every single movie to release this year, but I'm sure you guys have seen most movies that I have not seen. So if you want to give me your top 10 best movies of the year so far in the comment section below, go ahead. Without further ado, let's begin.
I don't like you.
But I'm you.
I'm not you. I'm gonna kill you.
I have to appreciate this movie for its original concept. It's original, it's wild, and that's what made me interested in the movie in the first place. Seeing this original concept was so new. No one else would do it before, so I was very interested in seeing how the story would tell it. And overall, I got what I want, but there's one thing holding me back from loving this movie even more, and it's that the concept could have been used a lot more. The movie does a good job at showing us what this future of our planet looks like and just building out that world, but the actual plotline of the Expendables is not used enough. We have 17, we have 18, and I love their dynamic back and forth with each other, and Robert Pattinson is fantastic in the role, but for a movie selling me on the idea of Expendables, and that's what made me interested in the movie in the first place, I wanted to see more of that. I felt like this movie would tackle more of the idea of multiple Expendables, not just Mickey. Expendables from this group, Expendables from that group. We didn't get that. I enjoyed what we got. Obviously, it's in my top 10 movies of the year so far, but I'm saying that this will probably not be at it in the end of the year because I still left wanting more out of the story. I still really enjoyed what I got out of the story. It's just I still wanted more by the end. Now, if you have not seen Presence, I highly recommend checking it out. It was a movie that I had no idea what it was about. But I love horror, and I heard it was paranormal-esque, so I decided to check it out. And I was completely surprised on how well this movie actually was. Now, I can say I did start questioning where things were going with the actual plot, because there's not a whole lot of horror elements in the movie. For me, hearing that it was a ghost movie, and the movie being called Presence, you would expect a horror type of movie. But that's not what this movie is. And I can't say what it really is, or that spoils a twist that was at the end of the movie that I absolutely loved. Will go down as one of the best plot twists of the entire year. I loved the plot twist at the end of this movie, and it made the entire movie make sense. And all the problems that I had with the movie were then fixed with the plot twist because I knew where everything was eventually leading, making me even like this movie even more. And just the way the movie's filmed. When you first watch it without the plot twist, it makes no sense. It's certainly a director's choice that he put in there, but it all ties together to the twist at the end of the movie. All my problems with the film disappear, all because of the twist. And by the end of the day, I love what they did with this movie, and especially the twist at the end. If you have not checked Presence out, I highly recommend it. If you have problems with the movie, trust me, wait till that twist. All of them will eventually disappear.
Here it comes!
Now, How to Train Your Dragon is a shot-for-shot remake of the original film. Everything great about this film is because it's from the original How to Train Your Dragon. But it's a live-action remake that, unlike Disney, still has the magic of the original film. That original How to Train Your Dragon is a 5 out of 5 film and some of the best animated movies of all time. So of course, that all translates into live action really well. It still has all the same magic, and even though it is shot for shot, because it's the same movie, it still works. But I have yet to rewatch this movie, and I don't think I ever will rewatch this movie, because this live action remake only really works as a one-time watch. Just because it is the original film shot for shot, it really only works as a one-time watch in theaters. Just to see what this movie would look like in live action. But since I do have the original animated film, I have no reason to go back to this live action remake. Absolutely no reason to. Everything that worked great about this movie is all in the original animated film, which is 10 times better, and there's absolutely no reason in me rewatching How to Train Your Dragon live action. But it was a fun watch. it was fun seeing this world in live action and just seeing these characters in live action. But it was just seeing this animated movie transfer into live action and seeing what DreamWorks had in hand. And since this movie made money, they're going to continue with the live action remakes. Hope they don't fall into the same trap as Disney and keep the good live action remakes like How to Train Your Dragon did. But the problem with these live action remakes is that we have the original film. And if you're going to do it shot for shot, make it worth rewatching. Because although How to Train Your Dragon is in my top 10 now, it will most likely not be there at the end of the year. Just because it's just the original film. And I have the original film. I can watch that whenever. There's no reason for me to go back to the live action remake. But I will not be mad if I did rewatch it. It just probably wouldn't have the same effect as my first time watching it. Just because it's the original film, I've seen it in live action, but the animated one's right here.
Maybe Death's not actually coming for our family. Because that would be crazy.
Easily the best film of the franchise. It has the best premonition, the best kills, and the best characters. Now, I got into the Final Destination franchise because this movie was coming out. And when watching the entire franchise for the first time, I liked what I was seeing, but it wasn't until Bloodlines where all that Final Destination started to fully kick in. That premonition is the best premonition in any Final Destination movie, and actually made me a bit eerie when going to a sky tower like that now. Which Final Destination movies should deliver on? My experience in the plane is still the same as before I watched Final Destination. Same thing with roller coasters and log trucks. But Bloodlines actually gave me a more different feel into Sky Towers. Although I probably will never go in one, even before watching this movie, after this movie, I will probably definitely not go on one. Because that premonition was just so extremely well built together. Especially with the song Shout, and just all the build up to the Sky Tower actually falling. It makes for a great premonition. And it's definitely the most memorable part of the entire movie. When we get to the kills, it's modernized. Obviously, it's going to be a lot more blood. Yes, there is CGI, but that doesn't really bother me that much. And the characters, you actually care about the characters this time around. That brother dynamic is heartfelt. The family dynamic is heartfelt because you care about these characters a lot more this time around. Yes, it can be over the top, but that's exactly what you would expect from a Final Destination movie. But what a great comeback from this franchise, and I can't wait to see what they do with Final Destination 7, because 6 is the best one for me. I want to see what they can do with 7. And of course, R.I.P. Tony Todd. His send-off in this movie was everything it needed to be, plus more. Now, Sinners is a film that is extremely well put together. I love horror films, and of course vampire stuff, so just that final act, I love. And just all the build up to that final act too, you're doing a good job at making us care for the characters, so that when the actual vampire stuff happens, it has a lot more effect than a normal horror movie would. And since you love these characters, when it actually did transition into a vampire movie, I forgot I was watching a vampire movie. Just because I was so attached to the storyline with these characters. Michael B. Jordan is playing two characters, and he does a good job at making each character different. You can tell they're being played by the same person, but you can also tell that they're two different characters. That's how good Michael B. Jordan is as an actor. This is the film that I did not want to end. I wanted to watch it all day long. I wanted to stay with these characters for the entire day because the movie made sure you cared for these characters. That's what the first 2 acts of this movie do really well. But this movie is not a 5 out of 5 for me for just a few reasons. One, all the hype for it. I watched it extremely late, so I heard all the hype of saying it's the best movie of the decade, best thing ever. So you can't help but feel a bit disappointed when you hear all that hype everywhere. And the vampire story felt sudden. You care about these characters for the first hour and 30 minutes of the movie, but then it suddenly just switches into a vampire storyline. It felt sudden, but I guess it kind of feels like real life. If vampires were to truly exist, it would feel sudden like that. So I guess it worked in both flavors, but it did feel a bit sudden. But I completely understand the hype for Sinners, and I still love this movie and want to rewatch it. But real quick, if you want to help me reach my goal of 1K by the end of the year, consider subscribing. Let's continue. Now walking into F1, I knew nothing about racing. Racing is not my topic, I know nothing about racing. But what did sell me on this movie is that it's from the director of Top Gun Maverick. So obviously this movie had something going for it, and it absolutely delivered on that Top Gun Maverick feel. It is very much on the same par as Top Gun Maverick. Granted, Top Gun Maverick is a little bit better, but F1, it still very much feels like Top Gun Maverick and is almost on the same par as it. Everything that Top Gun Maverick did that was absolutely phenomenal, F1 does the exact same thing. Top Gun Maverick had plane scenes. F1 has racing scenes that are suspenseful and keep you on your toes. The story is predictable in the best way possible. Top Gun Maverick's story was predictable in the best way possible. It's predictable, but since you care about these characters so much, that predictable story doesn't matter to you anymore because you're completely hooked into the story. These F1 race scenes have you on your toes every single time. Everything is just so captivating and it hooks you in so much. This is very much that summer blockbuster movie. Top Gun Maverick was. So F1 absolutely is as well. F1 follows everything in pursuit of Top Gun Maverick because it's from the same director. Everything you loved about Top Gun Maverick is very much still in F1. This is definitely that movie that you want to watch in every format possible. IMAX, 4DX, anything, just like Top Gun Maverick was. 4DX makes it feel like you're actually in the car. I watched it in D-Box, which is essentially 4DX, and it very much feels like that. IMAX will completely immerse you in this racetrack like you're in the car itself, especially with that huge erupting bass from the IMAX theaters. The film immersed you, the film hooks you. Everything great about Top Gun Maverick is 100% all of F1.
Everyone here has done bad things. You can't escape the past.
Now, I still refuse to call this by the actual title until it's been out for a while. Marvel spoiled it way too early on. I was extremely mad at that. But this is very much the team-up movie that the MCU has needed for a long time. It's great to finally see some of these characters again, and their dynamics playing off of each other is what we love about the MCU. The MCU always builds up to these team-up movies where we see all these characters interact with each other, and that's exactly what this movie does. It's great to see these characters again, and their banter off of one another is exactly what we wanted from the MCU. This movie made me like some of these characters more than I actually did, like Ghost. Ant-Man and the Wasp? Ghost was a forgettable character to me, but in Thunderbolts, they made her likable. They made me love her character even more, and I can't wait to see her again in future projects. Same thing goes for every character in this movie. Even if I thought they were good in something like Black Widow, thanks to Thunderbolts. This is exactly what MCU movies need to be doing for the team-up movies, which is why, since we haven't gotten a team-up movie in a while in the MCU, something's been missing. And that's exactly what it's been. It just feels like classic MCU. We have this theme of a mental health story, which fits so well with these characters. And to the point of where they end up by the end of the movie, it's satisfying. Because they feel like they're nothing at the beginning of the movie. So once it's revealed who they are at the end of the movie, it's everything you want it to be. Since you spent this entire movie building out these characters and falling in love with them even more, payoff when it needs to happen is extremely satisfying. I can't wait to see these characters again in Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars because I fell in love with them. I want to see these characters again just like MCU needed to be. Thunderbolts was everything that MCU has been missing for a long time and it absolutely delivered on it. Now I can say when I first reviewed this movie, it was a 4 out of 5. I liked it, didn't love it. Over time though, that's when it extremely sat with me. And I can't wait to rewatch this movie because I'm going to love it even more. My expectations were set one time when I was watching it back in May 1st, but now, a few months later, it's all the way up here and I absolutely love this movie now. And that post-credit scene will go down in history as one of the best MCU post-credit scenes. I stand on it for 2 months, and I can officially say that. This post-credit scene will be one of the best MCU post-credit scenes.
You're all I can think of. Every drop I drink up. You're my soda pop, my little soda pop.
Now the funny thing with Sony Animation is that about 15 years ago, they weren't that memorable of a studio. Yes, they had movies like Cloudy and the Chance of Meatballs, but a lot of their movies were mediocre. The Emoji Movie, Goosebumps, Smurfs. Obviously the studio was not well beloved back then. But recently, ever since Into the Spider-Verse, they've been the best animated studio of the decade. They're taking up the mantle that Pixar and Disney had. Pixar in the 2000s had back-to-back absolutely fantastic movies. Disney had the same thing in the 90s, in the Renaissance era. Now Sony Animation is taking up that mantle that they were. Sony Animation is going to be that animated studio of the 2020s. And they delivered on K-pop Demon Hunter. Again, like Thunderbolts, when I first reviewed it, I was extremely positive on it, but over time, it shot up even more, especially since on social media everywhere, it's been nothing but Soda Pop, Golden, everywhere. These songs have been everywhere. And the movie is still completely holds up, even right now. As for the movie itself, the concept is original and new. Sure, story beats may have been done plenty of times, but since the concept is so new, so original, K-pop, who are also demon hunters, that's new, and it works. And even then, songs have been online everywhere, so it's even more iconic because I listen to it all the time. My only problem with the movie now, after a month, is that it should have been released in theaters. I don't know why Sony is releasing all these great movies on Netflix instead of releasing them in theaters. Because if this movie was released in theaters, and it became popular on social media around the same time, it will be making a lot of money right now. It's their fault they want to rely on streaming a lot, but just saying, Netflix says that this movie is about to be their most viewed animated movie of all time on their streaming platform, so just imagine what those numbers would have been in theaters. I love surprises like this because it's movies that you're not expecting to be as good as they are, but by the end of the year, are some of your favorite movies of that year. We're halfway. I'm pretty sure I can say that this movie will stay in my top 10. It might even stay in 3. I'm so glad a surprise like this, a 5 out of 5 film, is a surprise. And I'm glad to say an animated studio like Sony Animation is now giving us some of the best animated movies out. James Gunn, I've never doubted you in the first place. You brought Superman back and made his introduction in the DCU. Everyone in the cast is their role. David Cornsweet is Superman. You 100% see why he was casted in the role of Superman. And over time, might become my favorite adaptation of Superman. Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor is my favorite adaptation of Lex Luthor, with no questions asked. I loved his performance as the character, and he is Lex Luthor. I fell in love with every character from main character to side character. Like the Justice Gang, I love them. Guy Gardner, Hawkgirl, Mr. Terrific, all those characters, I want to see again. I need a spin-off on some of these characters. And speaking of characters you want to see again, a thing about the MCU is that the moment a character is introduced, you fall in love with them and want to see them again in the next project. You want to see these characters interact with the Avengers. Well, this time around, we get that in the DCU. You're introduced to this version of Superman, this version of Lois Lane, this Justice Gang. And you think about it and you're like, I want to see these characters interact with Batman, Wonder Woman. And you just play out a scenario like that in your head of what that interaction would be. This is what these superhero movies need to be. For the first movie of the DCU, it shows everything this universe is going to be. You're thrown into this universe like the third movie. Now, that may throw a lot of people off, but for me, it worked. Because it just shows that this universe is a comic book. You're thrown into it, it feels like a third movie, but it works because that's exactly how a comic book would play out. All these different subplots play as if it's a comic book. That's why it works so well. James Gunn knows how to make a comic book movie, and it delivered in Superman. Although, Guardians of the Galaxy, the entire trilogy, is a lot better for me. Superman, is still everything I wanted, and it absolutely delivered. And if this is how good the first project of the DCU is, how is everything else? Guess we'll see. Peacemaker Season 2, while I'm on the topic of the DCU, I cannot wait for. That is going to be amazing. This DCU is only going to get bigger and bigger from here, and I can't wait to see what James Gunn has to offer. Superman was everything I wanted, and I'm so glad we are getting a DCU. But talk about the biggest surprise of 2025. There's like 3 movies on this list where I was not expecting to be as good as they actually were. Presents, K-pop Demon Hunters, surprises that came out of nowhere. At the beginning of the year, I was not expecting those movies to even come out. I didn't even know what they were, but they ended up being as good as they were. So that you can appreciate it for. But Naza 2, definitely have not even heard of that. It's a movie that when it came out in China, it became the highest grossing animated movie of all time. So that title on its own, I was shocked. Because no one on this side of the world has even heard about this movie. And all of a sudden, it was the highest grossing animated movie of all time. Which felt completely sudden and unexpected, so I had to check it out. Now, I can say when I first reviewed Naza 2, I did not give it a 10 out of 10. But the more I thought on it, the more time has passed. It's a 10 out of 10 film. And I need to rewatch this movie immediately, but it's on nothing. There's nowhere to watch it. Naza 2 is a fantastic animated movie. It takes everything that works about animation. It takes the theme of something like Puss in Boots 2. It has the feel of anime. It combines those 2 things together and multiple other animated movies ideas and makes Naza 2. You fall in love with the characters. The animation is gorgeous. The themes tackled are fantastic. And I absolutely cannot wait for Naza 3 to come out. The way this movie ended, I was like, I need Naza 3. I can't wait to see what they do next with the story. There's so many different things you can do with the story, and I do not want to wait 6 years until Naza 3. If it means it's going to be better than this movie, go ahead, but I'm hooked. I want to see what happens next. I need to see what happens next. And I just fell in love with these characters right when the movie ended. I can't wait to finally rewatch this movie whenever I get the chance to, because it just works so well and was a huge surprise of the year. It deserves the title of the highest grossing animated movie of all time and will most likely stay as the best movie of 2025. But with that, thanks for watching. If you like this video, maybe leave those on the side next to you too. Like, subscribe. See you guys next time. Goodbye.